are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well. A lot's changed since the last time you were here. You are a very recognizable person now, even more so than I think the last time you were here. And I feel like, as someone on the Intelligence Committee, when you're this recognizable, that it kind of means at its core that something's gone wrong.
Yes, it can. It can.
Do you find that you're recognized more?
Oh, yes. In fact, I had a rather unusual experience on my way here tonight. I was on the phone with one of the major airlines trying to get back into my account because I couldn't remember the password. So I finally get through
You're
all
on the Intelligence Committee. I just want to remind you that.
It is a little scary.
Okay.
Well, the password was so secret that not even I could remember.
Sure, right.
So I'm on the phone. I finally get through all the voicemail hell, and I get this disembodied voice walking me through the login screens, whatever, and I'm entering a new security question. And the question is, what is your dog's name, your first dog's name? And I entered the dog's name, but it's too short. It won't accept it. So I say, won't accept my dog's name. So the voice says, try impeach. And I said, what? And he says, try impeach. And I said, I thought that's what you said. I was trying to be very professional, but I couldn't help. I said, I'm not going to use that as the dog's name. Yes. So
even your voice on the phone with a major airline, they know who you are now.
They apparently do.
They apparently know who you are. I think one of the things, obviously, the Latin term we're all familiar with now is quid pro quo. We even had, during some of the testimony, Gordon Sondland basically laid it out. This is a Trump appointee. He said, yes, there was a quid pro quo. And yet a lot of the Republicans, most of the Republicans in the committee, still continue to say there was no quid pro quo, that it is clear as day, as some would say there is, it is just as clear to them that there isn't. Do you think they at their core believe this, or is this just a gaslighting maneuver to let their base, let the president know that they have their backs in this?
Mostly the latter. I don't think they really believe this. And we had exactly that phenomenon where we had Sondland testify. He quite clearly said, most people want to reduce this to a simple question. Well, if you do, the answer is yes, there was a quid pro quo.
And it should be noted that, I believe, was in his opening statement. That was something that he just offered up.
Yes. And nonetheless, Republican members walked out of that very hearing saying, see, he said no quid pro quo. And you listen to that and you think, okay, were you in the same room that I was in? Because he very clearly said that's exactly what happened here. And not only that, everyone was in the loop. And what's more, these were the orders from the president on down. Rudy Giuliani, acting as his agent, was implementing essentially this scheme to condition the White House meeting, and then later $400 million in military aid to help the president coerce Ukraine into basically cheating for him in the next election. It's rare to have a case this strong, this unequivocal, this overwhelming. And the astonishing thing about it is normally a complex white-collar crime case like this, and that's what this is analogous to, is very document-driven. But here, because the White House said you get to see no documents, we were able to make the case with these career public servants who did their duty, who came and testified, suffered the insults and the attacks. And because of their patriotism, we know the truth. And the truth is the President of the United States tried to shake down an ally to help him cheat in the next election.
These were, so many of these public servants either served under both presidents or were appointees of a Republican administration. Were you surprised as it went on how quickly they were attacked for being never-Trumpers was certainly the term that was used the most. Were you surprised that your colleagues across the aisle were so quick to attack them for that?
I had the usual sensation we have in the era of Trump, which is you're shocked on the one hand, you're not surprised on the other.
Yeah, that's about where I feel every night. Yeah. You've described it well.
So, here you had people like Bill Taylor, who, as his testimony revealed, graduate top of his class at West Point. He chooses to go to Vietnam during the height of the war. And I loved when he was asked, because he's so self-effacing, you got some distinctions while you served in combat. He says, well, the one I'm most proud of is the Combat Infantryman's Badge. I also got a Bronze Star, but, the one I really care about. This is a guy who is basically downplaying a Bronze Star.
Sure.
And this is a guy they're attacking. Colonel Vindman got a Purple Heart. They're attacking him. Ambassador Yovanovitch had dangerous posts around the world. They're attacking her. There is nothing beyond their willingness to debase themselves for this president. And, you know, I keep making the point, what are you going to tell your grandkids when they ask you what you did while this awful man was in office to stand up to him? And
he doesn't like you.
I get that
I don't know
impression.
if you know that, yeah. And a lot of the Judiciary Committee, a lot of the Republicans there, they actually felt that you had a right to be there, and you had a right to answer questions. And then we've referenced the fact that they have terrible props, but this was a poster board of you on the side of a milk because you were missing. Now, of course, you weren't missing. You just were not. There was no reason for you to be there. And yet they frame it as though you're sort of hiding, somewhere in Congress because you're too afraid to go in front of this. Is this been strange to watch them use you as a prop, being a colleague of theirs, even though of a different party?
Well, I mean, the reason is because this is what Trump wanted. So Trump is tweeting out, you know, he should be a witness, and they will do whatever the president asks. One of my colleagues said, we're going to get you a T-shirt that says, I'm right here,
Yeah.
that you can wear on the House floor and just point to it. But, you know, my favorite sign, frankly, was one a couple days earlier that said, it's been 0 days since Adam Schiff followed the rules, which meant that I was constantly following the rules.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, now that's finally an accurate sign. But my staff would always say, did you see the signs or whatever today? And actually, I never paid attention to the signs. So,
Yeah.
you know, I just tried to keep my focus
That means
on
the
the
signs
witnesses.
aren't working. The whole reason you make signs is for people to see them.